Okay, so I am going to get back to our little critter and our Geronimo, but I came across this in the book shed at work the other day, and I remember reading these books when I was in school. Yes, that's how old these books are. And it's the Baliey School Kids. I do not have them in order, but I really like this one. Cupid doesn't flip hamburgers. So today I'm going to start this. Um, Again, we're going to do these in 15-minute segments so everybody can get like a good night story. So if you've read these books, let me know in the comments. But here we go with this one. I like these books. They're so cute. They really are. So Cupid doesn't flip hamburgers. And who is this by? Marcy Thornton Jones and Debbie Dabby? No. Debbie Daddy? No, Debbie Daddy. Okay. All right. But anyways, here we go. Chapter 1. St. Valentine's Day. Pink lace and frill. This is girl stuff, Eddie complained, crumpling the paper valentine he was making into a wad. He glanced around the classroom to make sure his teacher, Miss Jeepers, wasn't watching. After all, most kids thought she was a vampire and didn't dare do anything to make her green eyes flash. Luckily for Eddie, Mrs. Jeepers was busy at the door talking to Principal Davis. Eddie eyed his target. A head full of bouncy yellow curls was just 3 seats away. With careful aim, he let his ruined valentine soar across the aisle. Smack! It landed right in the middle of Carrie's blonde head. Bingo, Eddie mouthed, while Carrie twisted around to give him a mean look. I bet you won't get a single valentine, Carrie blurted out. Unfortunately, she was so mad, she forgot to whisper. The class gasped when Mrs. Jeepers slowly turned around and flashed her green eyes at Carrie. I am surprised to hear such a terrible insult, Mrs. Jeepers said in her strange Transylvania accent. I don't know how that would sound. Hold on, let's try this out. I am surprised to hear such a terrible insult. I think I'm going to pass on the voices for this, okay? Enough. But Eddie threw, Carrie started to say. Enough, Mrs. Jeeper interrupted, rubbing her green brooch. Valentine's Day is a time to show people we appreciate them. You must apologize for being rude. Carrie's face turned bright red. But apologize, Mrs. Jeepers insisted. The rest of the class watched as Carrie faced Eddie. I'm sorry, she muttered through clenched teeth. Then she turned around and stared at the half-made valentines on her own desk. Eddie smiled his sweetest smile until Mrs. Jeepers went back to talking with Principal Davis. Then he giggled as he pulled the eraser off his pencil and flicked it. Carrie flinched when the eraser popped her on the back, but she wasn't about to turn around and get in trouble again, and Eddie knew it. Melanie sat beside Eddie. You'd better stop it, she warned, before Mrs. Jeepers catches you. Sounds about right. But Eddie was having too much fun. As long as Mrs. Jeepers was busy, he was going to keep it up. He was just about to send a broken crayon hurtling towards Carrie when Mrs. Jeepers looked at the class and cleared her throat. Eddie quickly sat up straight and smiled sweetly. It is time for us to go to the cafeteria, Mrs. Jeepers said. Then she smiled, an odd little half smile. Today we will meet our new cook, Mrs. Rosenblum. Half the class groaned, but Liza raised her hand. Maybe we should give Mrs. Rosenblum a Valentine's too. What a wonderful idea, Mrs. Jeepers said. Please line up and bring one of your cards. Most of the kids rushed to the lineup, but Eddie, Liza, Melanie, and Howie waited to be last. That was a dopey idea, Eddie told Liza. You're just mad because you didn't get any Valentine's cards made, Howie interrupted. Melanie nodded. You were too busy bothering Carrie, and she's never going to forgive you, Liza added. Carrie had never been in trouble before. I don't care about her or Valentine's, Eddie said, shaking his head, as they headed for the lunchroom. But I do care about my empty stomach. I'm hungry. We always have the same old slop in the cafeteria. Maybe the new cook will be different, Liza said. Eddie shook his head. That just means we'll have some new slop. Eddie, you should give her a chance. She may be a really good cook, Melanie said, as they walked into the cafeteria. It'll be the first good cook ever, Eddie said, but he stopped at the entrance of the cafeteria. What in the world happened? Howie asked. Chapter 2. Explosions. It looked like a card store exploded in here, Howie said, looking around the cafeteria. All sizes of red, pink, and white paper hearts were everywhere. The kids looked. Hearts were plastered to the walls, hanging from the ceilings, and even stuck on the garbage cans. Classy. Melanie giggled. They must have had a 5-for-1 heart sale. 5 dumb decorations for the price of 1, Eddie said. This place looks stupid. I think it's pretty, Liza said. After all, Valentine's Day is less than a week away. Eddie rolled his eyes. Ugh. Valentine's Day is for 3-year-olds who don't know anything better to do. I'm sorry, I have such bad allergies, my nose keeps clogging up. Valentine's Day is for telling people you like them, Melanie told him. Or that you love them, Liza giggled. That's disgusting, Eddie said. There's nothing disgusting about love, said a voice from beside them. But you'll find that out soon enough. Eddie looked up and gulped. In front of him was the biggest red dress he had ever seen, and it was being worn by the biggest woman he had ever seen. Almost everything about her was big and red, from her bright red lips to her full, fluffy reddish blonde hair. Even the heart button on her aprons and her dangling heart earrings were big and red. But when she grabbed Eddie's cheeks, he noticed that her fingernails were painted hot pink with little white arrows on them. You're just the cutest little thing, the woman said as she squeezed Eddie's cheek. I just love your red hair. What a cutie pie. That's the picture that they have in the book. You must be Mrs. Rosenblum, the new cook, Liza said. Welcome to Baliey Elementary. Liza held out her valentine to the big woman. Why, thank you, sugar. Mrs. Rosenblum smiled and gave Liza a bear hug. I just know I'm going to love it here. We hope so, Howie said politely. Did you do the decorating? Why, yes, Mrs. Rosenblum blushed. I just love Valentine's Day. I don't know why I gave her a southern accent, but we're going to go with it. But that's enough talking. Come eat. The 4 kids followed the rest of their class through the lunch line and picked up their trays. I've never seen so much red in my life, Eddie said. Everything on their lunch tray was red. There was heart-shaped meatloaf covered with ketchup and a tomato slice and a heart shape. Each tray had a slice of red apple and a heart-shaped blob of cherry jello. There was even red straws for the milk. I think that's cute. I think this lady fell off the old holiday wagon before her brain was fully cooked, Eddie said when they sat down with their trays. She's gone heart crazy. I think it's nice, Liza said. It sure beats the tuna surprise we usually have on Mondays. Baked bowling balls would beat that, Melanie argued after taking a bite of jello. This stuff may be red, but it's good. There's nothing good about overdosing on red, Eddie said. The new cook may need sugary to remove all these hearts. And I'm just the doctor to handle it. Oh, boy. Who are you? Howie laughed. Dr. Love? Dr. Meany would be more like it, Liza said. Don't go bothering Mrs. Rosenblum. She's nice. Eddie smiled. Would I bother a sweet lady like her? His 3 friends all nodded their heads yes. Eddie had a reputation for causing mischief. But none of the 4 kids noticed Mrs. Rosenblum standing nearby. She was touching her heart buttons, and she smiled. 3. Love bug. There's that prissy Carrie kissing up to Mrs. Rosenblum, Eddie pointed as he slurped the last of his cherry jello. No fair, Melanie said. Mrs. Rosenblum is giving Carrie a heart button and a cookie. Carrie gets everything, Liza sighed. Carrie's dad owned the Baliey City Bank. Carrie was always bringing new toys to school or bragging about something her dad bought her. I'll make sure she gets a hard time, Eddie said with an evil grin. He grabbed his half-empty lunch tray and headed for Carrie. Mrs. Rosenblum finished pinning the button on Carrie and spun her around to face Eddie. Well, hello, Eddie, Carrie said with a mouthful of cookie. Fancy meeting you here. Yeah, it's a miracle, Eddie said. Would you like my apple slice? I'd love it, Carrie said, snapping it off of Eddie's tray. But then, I adore anything of yours. She batted her eyelashes at Eddie before nibbling on the apple. Eddie gave her a funny look, then rushed back to his seat. I can't believe you gave Carrie your apple, Melanie said. I thought you hated her. I can't stand her, Eddie agreed. I dropped it on the floor. That's why I gave it to her. That wasn't very nice, Liza said. Speaking of nice, Do you see the way Carrie keeps looking at you? Howie asked Eddie. The 4 kids turned to see Carrie tossing her blonde hair and fluttering her brown eyes in their direction. Melanie giggled. I think she's been bitten by the love bug. You guys are crazy, Eddie shook his head and looked at Carrie. She smiled and blew a kiss. What? Eddie splashed through the mud puddles on his way across the playground the next morning. Melanie, Liza, and Howie were huddled under a huge oak tree comparing answers to their math homework. Number 13 has to be 342 hearts, Melanie was explaining. Howie shook his head. You weren't supposed to add. You should have subtracted. Liza frowned. I multiplied. What did you get for the answer, Eddie? Eddie looked at his friends like they had just sprouted broccoli out of their ears. What homework? Melanie rolled her eyes. You'll never make it out of 3rd grade unless you do the homework. I'll help you, a sweet voice interrupted. The 4 kids turned to face Carrie. She winked at Eddie. I have all the answers and mine are always right. Eddie kicked his foot into the mud, splattering Carrie's pink boots with brown goo. I don't need any help, he said, especially from you. Then he stomped towards the school. But I don't mind helping you, Carrie insisted as she grabbed his elbow. I brought you something, too. Eddie skidded to a stop. You're trying to get me back for yesterday's paper wad. You'd give me the wrong answers just to get me in trouble. Don't be silly, Carrie said, batting her eyelashes at him. Here. This proves I'm not mad at you. She reached inside her book bag and pulled out a red rose. I even snipped the thorns off so you wouldn't get pricked. Eddie backed away and bumped into Melanie. It's not every day a guy gets a flower from his girlfriend, Melanie said with a giggle. Carrie is not my girlfriend, Eddie yelled as he ran into the school. Carrie sighed and flipped her golden curls behind her ears. Poor Eddie. I'll just have to try harder. Try harder to do what? Liza asked from behind Melanie. Carrie looked at Melanie, Howie, and Liza, as if she were going to tell them the answer to next week's science test, but then she shook her head and followed Eddie into the school. Never mind, you just wouldn't understand. Something strange is going on at Baliey Elementary, Melanie said. Yeah, you think? Howie nodded. I never dreamed I'd see the day when Carrie was nice to Eddie. It's almost like she's in love with him, Liza said softly. Don't be silly, Melanie said. Gorilla is more lovable than Eddie. The 3 friends nodded and went inside the school building. Once inside, the kids stopped dead in their tracks. Maybe Liza's right, Howie said. Melody started laughing so hard she snorted through her nose. It looks like Carrie has Eddie cornered. Sure enough, Carrie had grabbed Eddie's notebook at the water fountain. I'd love to carry your book, she was telling him. Eddie tugged as hard as he could, but Carrie wouldn't let go. Give it to me. Eddie jerked his notebooks one last time, tearing the cover in half. Now look what you've done, Eddie yelled. Oh, boy. I'm sorry, Carrie said. I'll get you a new one. Eddie gave her a look and dashed into the classroom. Melanie, Howie, and Liza followed and started teasing Eddie. It looks like Carrie's fallen for you, Howie whispered. Eddie took a pencil out of his desk and shook his head. She's just trying to make me mad. I think it's working. It looks like love to me, Melanie nodded towards the doorway. Carrie stood there, straightening the heart pin on her pink sweater. Then she strode to Eddie and paused beside his desk. She smiled, put a chocolate kiss on his desk. She winked and walked to her own desk. From behind him, Eddie heard Melody giggling as she started singing. Eddie and Carrie sitting in a tree. Kissing. First comes love. But before she could sing any more, Eddie took the candy kiss and flung it over his shoulder. It landed with a defiant thunk on Melanie's forehead. We're going to stop here. We're going to pick up at Chapter 4, Lovesick.